Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Boop by Smirk Laughter Games.
Boop! That's the name of this game, and it is about kittens that jump on beds. When they do, they go boop, I guess. I don't know. But this is all about trying to get your kittens in the right position, kind of like tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row, either diagonal, horizontal, or diagonally. And if you can do that with your kittens, they'll turn into cats for some reason, not sure. But then you want to try to do the same thing with your cats. This is an abstract strategy game, of course. Let us show you how this works down below, and then we'll come back and share thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer.
All right, so here's Boop on the table. This is a 2-player abstract strategy game in which you play as kittens/cats. You are going to have 8 kitten player pieces in each color, gray and orange, and 8 cat player pieces in both gray and orange. And each player is going to take their pieces, and you are going to use the bottom of the box here and put the soft quilted cover on top of the bottom of the box to act as a bed. And this is your playing surface on this bed. Now, as you can see, this is divided up as a grid here, and each little spot is going to be a place for a kitten or cat. Now, this is a very simple game, and what you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to get 3 of your cats in a row, either diagonal, vertical, or horizontal, just like tic-tac-toe, somewhere on this board. The first player to do that is going to be the winner, but you have to do another thing before you get to that point. So let me explain the rules. Now, a player is going to start by placing their kitten anywhere on the playing surface. So maybe I place a kitten there, and then it will be the next player's turn to place one of their kittens. You only start the game with your kittens. You don't start with any of your cats. And so I'm going to place my kitten somewhere on the playing surface. Now, if I place it directly adjacent to another kitten, whether that be my own kitten or the other player's kitten, and by adjacent, I mean any one of the squares that touches that square, even diagonally, then you are going to bounce that kitten one space in the opposite direction from where your kitten's at. So placing this kitten here will cause that kitten to bounce one space that way. And then the next player may go, and they probably wouldn't do this move here, but let's just say they place a kitten there. And again, it causes all the kittens to bounce. And so this kitten bounces here, and their own kitten bounces off the bed and goes back to their supply. And this is going to continue to happen until someone is able to get their kittens to line up 3 in a row. And so let's just say that it's something along these lines here, and boom, this would be the case. Now, the reason why this kitten did not bounce when I placed this kitten here is because there was a kitten behind it. Anytime you have a kitten or cat behind a kitten or cat that would cause it to bounce into it, they don't move. They stay where they're at. And now that we have 3 in a row here for the gray player, we take those kittens off the board and we throw them away. We don't actually throw them away, but they're out of the game, and they are replaced with 3 cat player pieces. Now, these do not go back on the bed. They go into your supply of pieces that you have available to use for yourself. And on your turn, you can place either another kitten or a cat. Now, the difference between cats and kittens will only ever bounce other kittens. They cannot bounce cats because cats are heavy and kittens are small. But cats can bounce everything, other kittens and other cats. So placing a cat here would cause this kitten to fall off and that kitten to go there. And later on, let's say the orange player did have a cat. Placing a cat here would cause this cat to bounce off the bed and that kitten to go there. And that would be the gist of the game. Now, what you ultimately are trying to do is get 3 of your cats in a row. And if you're able to do that, then you win the game. Now, there are a couple of other rules here. For instance, if you are somehow able to place all of your pieces on the board, you have 8 pieces, both the pieces that are on the board and in your available pile. So if I were to somehow to do this number, let's say, then I have all 8 of my pieces out on the board. And anytime you do that, you are allowed to take one of your kittens off the board and, again, throw it out of the game. And now you have another cat to play with on your next turn. And that would be one way to be able to upgrade a kitten to a cat without having to get 3 in a row. But that's pretty rare for that to happen. Usually you are going to have pieces in your supply, putting them out on the field. And that's pretty much the gist of the game. Again, the first player to get 3 of their cats in a row, either diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, is going to be the winner. And that is how you play Boop. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Boop from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective while you check out some gameplay footage of a game between Sam and I. So Sam, this is abstract strategy, which is something that I enjoy. Is that something that you enjoy as a non-gamer?
I think it just depends on the type of game. It's not something that I'm going to flat out say I don't enjoy.
Okay.
I do like strategy games.
Okay. So what was your initial impression with Boop?
I mean, it's very simple. I mean, there's how many cats do you get? Like 9 cats?
I think it's 8, yeah.
8 cats and a box and
8 kittens, 8 cats
and
in each player's
pillow thing.
Yeah, and a quilted pillow cover that's the playing surface.
Yeah, it looks like a toy.
You play on the box. The box acts as the bed here, so from a production standpoint, this game is really kind of unique. It stands out in the sense that it looks like a bed that you're playing on. You're playing on a quilted blanket.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And this shouldn't be a surprise, as this is a game that comes from the same makers of Shobu, a game that we did earlier. And if you want to check out the video on that, you can click the eye in the top right corner and it'll show you that video. But Shobu was a game that came with rocks and ropes, and you were moving these rocks on wooden boards. And so the production value with that game was pretty unique and exceptional. And this is the same as well. And in fact, it even says on the back of the box, from the makers of Shobu. So they want you to know that they are known for making these odd abstract strategy games with high quality components. So this kind of fits right in line with that. Let's talk about the gameplay experience. What was that like for you as a non-gamer?
I don't think my non-gamerness had as much to do with it as just the type of person I am. It's a very quiet, thinky game. There's not a whole lot of talking or communicating. There just doesn't need to be. I got frustrated because Lance is just better at it than I was. And I think that, again, has nothing to do with him being a gamer or me being a non-gamer, but more just how our brains work and how we deal with this type of strategy. I had a really hard time thinking, okay, this one's getting 3 in a row because they're going to bounce.
Yeah.
And just that, and you have a limited number. And so it is difficult to get that 3 in a row. Lance just was better at that than I was.
Now, you saying it was difficult to wrap your head around the trickiness of the game, I think is what speaks to an abstract strategy game being a good abstract strategy game. Because if it's not tricky,
to be easy.
Right, if it's not tricky, then it's too easy, it's too straightforward, it's boring. And that's what kills abstract strategy, in my opinion anyway. A good abstract strategy game thrives off of the trickiness of it and what's happening with that. I feel like this game is tricky because you do have to kind of think through, well, if I place this kitten here, it's going to bounce this. If I place this cat here, it's going to bounce that. Well, kittens don't bounce cats. Cats can bounce other cats. Like, there's a lot of different things that are at play here, and I feel like it does make it a little tricky for you. In fact, the box calls itself a very thinky in air quotes, game for 2 clever cats. I feel like that's a perfect description.
It just gives you that feeling in your mind as you're thinking through it. Like, kind of like doing a Sudoku puzzle or something like that. You really have to look at what you're doing, think a few steps ahead. What is this going to look like? And then your opponent could come in and just ruin your plans completely.
Absolutely. But that's what makes it so good. And that's one reason why I really like these kind of games is because I feel like I have it figured out, and then something happens. You're hell-bent on making sure my plans don't come to fruition, and you do it, and then it's like, well, crud, now what can I do? I enjoy that kind of thing, that back and forth with these kind of games.
And I think this is always a fun game to present to other people because it's surprising. You know, you pull out 8 cats and a pillow top. Like, no one's going to expect it to...
Somebody who's not used to playing modern board games, they're going to look at this and they're going to be really caught off guard, and they're going to be thinking, what on earth is this? And then you get to playing with it. And then I feel like this is really going to draw in a lot of people, gamer, non-gamer alike. I think this has that appeal to it. So it was one that I got to demo at Gen Con, and there were lots of people that were interested in wanting to know more about this. In fact, I'm pretty certain it's sold out already. So you might have to wait around for a second printing of it. So it has a lot of appeal to it, and rightfully so. All right, let's get to our pros and cons with Boop. So you as a non-gamer, what works well with you with this game?
I don't think there's a whole lot to even talk about as far as pros and cons, because it's such a minimalist game, which I think is a pro. I think you almost don't need the box. You could just...
You don't necessarily need the box.
Oh, I guess you do, because it is the...
It is the bed, but it's only there for table presence.
Yeah.
You need the quilt.
It's very minimal. It's a small footprint. It's very easy to explain. You don't need a rule book.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always, just a good game to play with other non-gamers, where it's simple to explain, simple to understand, but still has a challenging aspect to it.
One thing that I wanted to throw in here as a pro when talking about the rules is it takes a concept that I think every person in the world knows, and that's tic-tac-toe. It takes this idea of tic-tac-toe needing 3 in a row, and all you really got to do is say to the person, tic-tac-toe, right? We're going to play tic-tac-toe, but we're going to play it with cats on a bed.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, what are you talking about? But that's kind of what this is.
Kittens.
And then add kittens that can bounce other kittens. But it takes a very simple idea that everybody knows, and it makes a game out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything that doesn't work so great for you with this one?
I don't think so. I mean, it's so, again, I know I've said this a couple times, so minimal. There's not a lot to not work.
Okay.
You either like it or you don't, and that's up to you. But I think as far as gameplay and components, I think it's great.
You mentioned something earlier that there's going to be people that are just better at this kind of game than other people. And that is usually a thing with abstract strategy games, that there's just somebody who's maybe more skilled than somebody else. And more often than not, they're going to be the person who wins. Boop is no different when it comes to that kind of thing, that the more skilled person is probably going to be the person who wins more often than not. Not always the case. But that is a factor, and you just have to be aware that that's going to happen with this kind of thing. I do think it can be frustrating at times when you get your kittens bounced off the bed. You get your cats, you're lined up for the win, and then somebody just comes crashing in with their cat and blows everything up. That can be frustrating, but guess what? You can turn right around and do that to them. So I wouldn't even really say that's too much of a con with this game. All right, scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. I'm going to go first, if that's okay, on Boop here. I score abstract strategy games differently than most other games. I think you have to, because it's like a party game in the sense that it's trying to accomplish something that 90% of other board games aren't necessarily trying to do. Party games, that's trying to be social and environmental, like getting people in the environment around you into the game. Abstract strategy is almost the exact opposite of that. It's trying to get you being really thinky and quiet and very tactical and just very, okay, I got to wrap my mind around how the trickiness of this game works. So I'm scoring it off of that kind of scale. And in terms of that, I got to give this game pretty high marks. I'm going to say that this is an 8.1 for me in terms of an abstract strategy game. So it really nails it for me with the trickiness of the cats and really trying to figure out how can I line up 3 in a row, because you can't just put 3 in a row. You've got to play off of what you think the other person's going to do and off of your previous turns. It just really lines up well for me. So 8.1, where does it come in for you?
I'd probably say about a 7.8. So just below what you said.
Yeah. Any reason for that?
No, I think it's a great game. I think, it does what it's intended to do. It's a quick game, so it's not going to be something you're going to play, all night long or anything like that. But it's a fun, simple game.
Yeah. I will agree with that. Well, there you have it. That's our thoughts on Boop with a period. There is a period at the end of the name here. It is from Smirk and Laughter Games. Please leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think of this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.